I am still working on my boundaries. After years of therapy, I am still working on my boundaries, but I've gotten pretty darn good at it. Hey y'all, I'm Jasmine W. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Y'all know I like to jump right in, but first I must let you know, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, baby, what are we doing and why are we doing it?
Where's the song?
If you're new here, welcome. Go ahead and click that subscribe button, honey, because all of my videos are good. And I'm starting to jump into more like lifestyle content and different types of content. So I'm excited to, be sharing these videos with y'all. Also, I must let you know that I have a Patreon where there's some exclusive content on there, but also I have a live podcast I do every week called Jazz After Dark, where we talk about intimacy, honey. Yes, intimacy, honey. Yes. So, because that can be a little bit more risque, it is behind a paywall. You can also join the Patreon or join here on memberships to join those episodes every week as well. And some of the episodes do live here on the memberships here on YouTube. So anyway, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about boundaries. Now here's a fun fact. Like, I actually pitched a podcast about a year and a half ago called Baddie with Boundaries, and it was all about exactly what the title is: working on my boundaries, the things I do all the time to keep my boundaries strong and to practice. And I was just thinking today, I was on live on TikTok and I was like, I've gotten some questions about boundaries recently, and I was like, maybe I should just bring it to my YouTube channel. So welcome to the official first episode of Baddie with Boundaries. Boundaries are limits that we put around ourselves and our lives so that we can protect our time, our energy, our emotional well-being, and sometimes our money, all of those things. So boundaries are really about restrictions that you put around yourself to protect yourself from being taken advantage of or exploited or having your energy be drained. Okay, so that is what a boundary is. It's also like a form of self-respect, a form of self-preservation. And that's why I think it's really important for Black women, women of color, and women in general to practice having really good, healthy boundaries, and having examples of what that looks like. Because I really think a lot of times growing up, we look at women in our family, they didn't have boundaries. Like, I think my mom needs to work on her boundaries. No shade. I really think she does, because she spends a lot of time giving and giving and giving, because she wants to, but also it's kind of like you have to have time to pour back into yourself, So anyway, I wanted to give my tips on how to have good boundaries, how to set good boundaries, and some of the things that I go through whenever I have a boundary that I'm about to set that I'm nervous about. Okay?
Every time I get nervous.
I also have a mentee, and I was talking to my mentee about expressing yourself yesterday. So I think my first tip when it comes to setting boundaries is decide what it is that you want. Decide what it is that you want. Oftentimes when we talk about boundaries, we talk about dating, but boundaries can come into play in the workplace, in family functions and things like that. So you have to make a decision about what it is you want. For example, if you're dating somebody, right, and you're new to dating, and they offer you to spend the night, and you're like thinking about all the things in your head, like, oh, well, what if I spend the night? Like, what if I don't like them? Or what if their place is small? Or what if I spend the night and what if they ask me to have sex and I don't want to? Or I've only been talking to them for 2 weeks. Like, is that slutty of me to spend the night? Or did all of these things come into your head, but you don't really think about what it is that you want? A lot of times when we're asked questions, we think about our fears, we think about the judgments of ourselves and judgments of other people, but we don't think, what do I actually want? Do you want to spend the night or not? And that needs to be the first question you ask yourself when you are presented with an obstacle. What is it that I want? What do I want? So once you decide what it is that you truly want, when you're by yourself and nobody's around, then that's your first step. Okay? If the answer is no, I don't want to spend the night because I'm not comfortable enough, The second thing you have to practice is telling the truth. Telling yourself the truth and telling the other person the truth. I have gotten so far ahead in dating, in life, in career by simply telling the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's something that I feel like a lot of people don't consider these days because everybody's just so used to kind of like faking the funk. There are lots of times in life where you're going to have to tell the truth. So if someone asked me to spend the night and I really liked the person, but I wasn't ready to spend the night with them, I would say, I really like you, but I'm just not ready to spend the night because I'm not comfortable enough.
I did this yesterday.
That is a boundary that you've set. The person might ask, when will you feel comfortable? And you have to answer honestly. Well, maybe if we've spent like a little bit more time together. Or maybe I won't feel comfortable spending the night until we are in a committed relationship. Or maybe I won't feel comfortable until we're engaged. Or maybe I don't want to spend the night at your house because you have roaches.
And it's dirty over there.
All of those things are comfortable to say. They know they got roaches.
That ain't new.
You telling them they got roaches would not be news to them. They live there. So I think that, being honest with yourself about what you want and communicating honestly is important. Now, don't get the roach comment confused with, saying things so transparently that you don't come off as a kind person. It's important to be kind,
but honest.
But it's also very important to say exactly how you feel. So that's going to be my first tip. Identify what it is that you want. And if you're not sure at that moment, take some time to think about it. Don't rush to make decisions, because that's how when you don't clearly think about your boundaries, you will rush to make decisions that you regret.
Facts.
Okay. My second tip when it comes to setting boundaries is to start small. Okay? If you and your friends are going out to dinner and they chose a place that doesn't fit your diet, I would just comment and say, hey guys, I'm really excited to go out to dinner with y'all, but y'all chose a place that doesn't fit my diet. Can we choose another place? I don't want to inconvenience everybody, but I can't eat nothing up in there. You know what I mean? That is boundary setting, right? And then your friends, the worst thing they could say is, no, like, Ashley been wanting to go to this place for like 3 months, and that's why we chose this place.
And it's her birthday.
And that's okay. And then you can decide, okay, do I want to go and just eat a salad, or do I want to go and they don't have anything vegan on the menu? Do I want to go and just maybe I'll eat before and I'll just have a cocktail with everybody, or a mocktail? That's for you to decide based on your boundaries. But your friends have set a boundary to say, no, we've chosen this place because we want to respect the fact that Ashley wanted to go there. And so now you have to make a decision. That is what boundary setting is all about, but it's all about also clear communication, but you have to start small with things like that, because if you don't start small with the restaurant recommendations, reservations, then you won't set boundaries at work when you're ready to get a big promotion, or when somebody's asking you to do something that you just absolutely can't take on as far as a project. You will not get to the bigger things if you don't start small. Starting small means that when your mom comes over and you guys go shopping and your mom says, "Ooh, I don't like that. I do not like that. Why would you wear that?" You say, "Actually, Mom, I like this. And I understand that you don't like it, but I like the way I look and it makes me feel good in it. So hype me up."
Period.
That's a boundary you've just set with your mom. Don't talk negatively about my fashion, my style, the things I've chosen to put on my body, because I like it. It makes me feel good.
That's the honesty.
You know what I mean? Once you can be more honest and transparent in the why behind the decisions you're making, people can respect it, or honestly, they could just be quiet or leave you alone, or you could leave them alone. You know what I mean? My third tip is stick to your word. If you have boundaries, people are more likely to respect them if you do the things you said you was going to do. Okay? If you told that man you wasn't spending the night over his house, and then the night come and he out on a date with somebody else, and you ask him, well, maybe I could spend the night. That's confusing.
Yeah, he know you lied.
Now you in your feelings. No, you said you couldn't spend the night because you weren't comfortable. Stand on that. Stand on business. Don't go back and forth, because when you go back and forth on your boundaries, it shows other people around you that they don't have to take you seriously. They don't have to take your boundaries seriously.
Preach.
That's why you want to stick to your word. If you said something, stand on that. Stand on it.
On business.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean, oh, I can't change my mind. You can change your mind on things, clearly communicate it. But if you contemplate how you feel in the beginning, it's less likely that you'll change your mind at the end. When you make quick decisions, you will change your mind because you didn't think about it. And the last tip I have for boundary setting is no is a full sentence. No, thank you. No, I'm not interested.
That's my favorite.
I was telling a friend yesterday about how I tell men that I'm not interested in dating them. I'm not interested in giving you my number. Now, I'm not recommending that people do this because it's dangerous to do that in 2025, especially. It's dangerous to tell somebody that you're not interested. But it's a boundary. It's a setting a boundary for me, and I don't have a problem saying it. And, you know, at this point in my life, nuck if you buck. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it because it's a boundary for me. And because I've worked on setting really strong boundaries and being confident and saying how I feel, but also saying how I feel in what I believe is a kind manner, I feel comfortable telling men when I'm out that I'm not interested.
Interested.
And people ask me how I do this. I did it a few weeks ago. I was out at a lounge, like club, bar, whatever you want to call it. You know, it was a little lounge in LA, and I was by myself. I really went out because I had a mommy-free little weekend, and I wanted to dance. I love to go out and dance because I find that, and I talked about this before, but this is just really something for me, that when I'm out dancing, listening to music, R&B music specifically is what I like. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not thinking about social media. I'm not thinking about being a mom. I'm not thinking about family, drama, heartache. I'm not thinking about anything else, just the music and the vibes and feeling cute, looking cute, watching people, watching everything. I just love being out by myself now. So, you know, when I was out by myself, I had a guy approach me, Jamaican dude. He was like maybe early 40s, cool, whatever. Anyway, he was chatting with me. He was a fine gentleman.
He wasn't fine, but
very enamored by me. I love that for him. But at the end of the day, he asked me, you know, he was like, well, you know, can I get your number? Can I take you out sometime? And I said, you know, you seem like a really fine gentleman. You seem really nice. So I'm just really not interested.
Bloop.
He said, oh, I can't take you out. I can't take you out. We can't go out. I said, well, you know, I'm really not interested in, you know, going on any dates or anything serious. He was like, you know, we can get to know each other. It doesn't have to be something serious. I said, well, you know, a lot of people follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram if you want.
Like everybody else. And
that was my boundary. I wasn't giving him my number. And it's true. A lot of people follow me on Instagram. You can follow me there too, just like everybody else. The reality is, no, you can't take me out. I've already said it. And if you're not respecting my boundary, that's another problem I have with you. You're trying to convince me. That's another problem I have with you. But I tried to compromise with him by allowing him to follow me on Instagram, which is fine with me. A lot of people follow me there. You know what I mean? But I wasn't going to give him my number, and I wasn't going to tell him that he could take me out. Later on that night, I made a mistake because I was leaving that bar, and I just was walking by him, and I didn't want to be rude, but child, sometimes you got to be rude to men. But anyway, I tapped him, and I just waved bye like this. Bye. And he followed me out, like basically damn near ran. And when he like chased me around, he was like, hey. And I turned around, and we were alone in a stairwell, because this place is underground, so you had to go up, walk up to get out. And so I'm on the stairwell above him, and he's looking up at me, you know, and he comes a little bit closer. He goes, can I get a hug?
Hell
I said,
no.
Can you get a hug? He said, yeah, can I get a hug? I said, no. And he stepped a little bit for me, and I put my hand on his chest because I've been in the gym.
Strong.
True story. And I pushed it. I said no. And then he said, no, I understand no means no. I said, you didn't just then.
Period. That's my boundary.
And that was another example of me saying, hey, I set a boundary. You asked me for a hug. I said no. And you came closer to me, and I had to muff you. I had to knuck if you buck. Because my boundary is no. I'm not going to allow you to come in and reach out like you're about to get a hug from me. You're not. I said no. You know? So, unfortunately in that time, I didn't really have much time to think about what my answer was going to be, but my body reacted for me. No, the answer is no. I'm not interested in giving you a hug. I have a hard boundary. I'm not interested in giving you my number. I'm not interested in going on a date. And I communicated those things really clearly, and I was really proud of myself after. I turned around, I left, and I walked to my car, and I got home that night. I was really proud for standing on business when it came to the things that I wanted, and I have to practice boundary setting like that all the time these days, with family, with my baby daddy, with my child, in all of the ways. So, and especially in dating. Now, I wanted to talk about the common pushbacks that make people afraid to set boundaries. And the first thing that most people are scared of is, what if they get mad? Well, if you communicate clearly and concisely and kindly, people still will get upset.
Facts.
Get away from them. If you're in public and they're upset, get away from them. If they're your families and you've communicated clearly and concisely and kindly and they're upset, get away from them. You can't control other people. You can only control yourself and your own actions. So what can you do to protect yourself? You gotta get away from them. Number 2, people say, I feel guilty. I feel guilty. I mean, I feel like setting boundaries can make you feel bad at first. In fact, a lot of times when you set boundaries in life, it's people's goal to make you feel bad so that you go back on your word and what you said. But a part of not feeling guilty is knowing that you thought about the decision and you contemplated it, right? And this is what you really want. Eventually, when you get enough practice setting boundaries, those feelings of guilt will turn to blatant disrespect, because it's going to be very clear that, oh, I did everything I was supposed to do. Now you're trying to make me feel guilty or bad. Like I'm some sort of bad person when I did everything on my part that I was supposed to do to kind of protect myself. Now you're getting on my damn nerves because you're trying to make me feel guilty. And these are just boundaries I have to protect myself, to protect my well-being, my mental health, or whatever the case is. Nobody can be upset with you about the things you want for your life, your boundaries. Like, they can be, but it's ridiculous.
Girl, can we get a mirror? You all up in the camera. What's the next? We almost done. What's the next?
And then I guess the last thing that I've heard a lot is, oh, I don't know what my family is going to think about this, or people are going to tell me I've changed, or they won't like who I am now. And I think in life people have to understand that we are ever changing beings. I'm not the same person that I was just yesterday. So if people can't understand that, hey, I'm trying to set some new boundaries, things that I really care about, that's going to make me a happier person. If they don't support you, then they just don't support you being a happier person. And it's sad, but they'll be all right. Either they'll accept you because they love you and you're part of their community, or they won't. They'll be unhappy about it, but I don't know. I think it's a chance that I was willing to take, and it's been really hard setting boundaries with family and friends and in relationships. But I don't really regret it at all because I know I'm just, I'm not being frivolous. I'm making decisions that are the best decision for me. And yeah, I'm doing it in a way where I think, I'm not disrespecting anybody. I'm only trying to continue to respect myself. So if you have any questions, let me know. If y'all want to see a video about how or some of the boundaries I have as a parent and how I maintain them with my own parents, let me know and I can work on that. Or if you have a question about anything else or want me to do a video in regards to being a baddie with boundaries in any other way, shape, or form, let me know. And hopefully this helps somebody. Okay? Bye.